Okay, hey guys, welcome back to the Feisty Filipinos podcast. My name is Josh, in case you guys forgot. And I just wanted to say, I am so sorry for this gameplay. It is so laggy, as you can tell. Like, I don't know what happened. It wasn't like this when I was recording, so we're just gonna deal with it. But whatever, that's besides the fact. We're just doing a little TED Talk today. So, I just wanted to make this video because high school just ended for me, so I wanted to talk about the whole entire experiences and stuff that I had over the years, like from freshman year to no, senior year. My bad, but yeah. So, where do I even start? There's so much to uncover. Well, first off, I just wanted to say I graduated like last week, literally on Thursday. So that's over with, and yeah, it's weird being out of school finally. So, but yeah, I just wanted to start with freshman year. So, well, okay, picture this. I'm in LA for my first year of high school, and mind you, I moved from school to school a lot throughout my whole entire life, and it has not been a pleasure to deal with, if I do say so myself, because the amount of times I had to make new friends, like get accustomed to different locations and stuff. That shit was a pain in the ass. So, yeah, but mind that. So I had to deal with that in LA. Like, the whole entire atmosphere of LA is not like, for the faint of heart. And I had to deal with that for almost a year, I'd say. Because I've been in LA for 3 years at that point, and I was in, Lake Forest, Anaheim, other stuff like that. So I'm in LA, and I go to school, my old school, and I knew like some people, not most people, but I had like a few connections here and there. So I had to deal with like the pressure of being a new kid basically, and having to like maneuver my way around Los Angeles and stuff. Like Los Angeles is not you know like living friendly, I'd say, because you gotta deal with a bunch of hippies here and there, and like a lot of like the urban life, and it is not great. In my opinion, LA is like the worst place to live out of any other city, because it's only for like touring and shit. It's not for like living, because living is so expensive. Oh my gosh, like I kid you not, living would typically cost like what, $300,000 for like a shit ass house? Who would want that? Let's be real. And so I had to deal with like bad living conditions for like a bit of my life. It was not great. Like I kid you not, having to share a bed with like one of your siblings is the worst thing that's ever happened. It is not only you have to like deal with space, but you also have like privacy issues and such. So that's that. And back to school. So I started off, not really like, being in the spotlight and stuff. But I did have friends who were in the spotlight like that. Like they knew everybody, and I was like, "What the fuck? How do you do all that?" And then so like I started to like be around them more and stuff. And then basically I would like meet new people and like get mutuals and stuff. And it was pretty alright, I'd say. Like I wouldn't necessarily call it like being popular, but being known, I guess, to coin that term. But yeah, so I met a few people, right? I got to like hang out with more people and stuff. And then this happens. Oh my gosh. So in my English class, it's like an honors class, and I didn't talk to a single person in there. Like they all had their own friend groups and stuff, and I was just in there by myself, like, oh, let me just be on my own. Like it was so awkward. I really hated it. I had to like put up with it for like half a year and stuff. So I had to, be awkward by myself and shit. It was so bad. So I had to do that, and then I met this girl who I'd say changed my life basically. But we'll get into that later. So I meet this girl. She moved in from like Hollywood or some shit. Like she moved districts or whatever. I don't remember, but this girl, we started talking. We started to like get to know each other. We actually started to like click fast, to be honest, because like I don't know. We just decided to like bond so fast, and like from there on, we just like started talking in class. We started to like play each other in Game Pigeon and stuff like that. We even follow each other on Instagram, and we didn't like talk that much outside of school. And well, fast forward to like March or some. No, not March, like January. Yeah, because okay, this is like the craziest part. Our teacher decided to like sit us next to each other for like class, and little did I know would that change my whole entire life. Because let's put it this way, you know how they say one seating chart can change your whole entire life? Well, that's essentially what happened to me. Like a life-changing move just happened just like that, the snap. And so me and this girl, right? Is it raining? No, it's not. I'm tripping. Yeah, so basically, this girl, we started to talk, a little chit chat during class, and then, oh yeah, COVID. Good old COVID. So, what's it called? Yeah, we started talking, right? Then, um, then we started to get closer because we were basically the only ones we talked to. I'd say, yeah, like we were the main people we talked to at the moment, like toward each other, because we had no one else. Yeah, you know, moving in from schools does that to you. So that happened to us, and it just so happened that she was like that too, and we started to like, you know, get more closer every day. Then I find out her type is Asians. Oh my gosh, yellow fever, am I right? But yeah, she's like, yeah, into like hot Asians and stuff. And so like, you know, okay, well at first I didn't think she was like all that because I never saw her like that. And then, you know, as time developed, it started to, you know, spark a bit. So that was a thing, and I eventually fell for her. Yeah, like I'm trying to recall what it was. Man, the fact I don't even remember right away is just like low-key red flag. Well, it's just the fact that I could trust her, I guess I'd say. And like, you know, we had a few interests, and I'm not gonna lie, I did help her with like a few relationship problems because she did date a guy before me, and that plays like a huge part later on. Not just before, but later on. So yeah, we start to develop each other, like feels for each other throughout that time. And I was okay, this is like a huge part too. Like I started to, I'm not bullshit, I started to like lose weight solely because of her. Like think about it, losing weight just for a girl. I know most people would do that, but thinking about it, it's just like, really, that's my motivation to lose weight. And mind you, I was 220 something pounds at the time. I was so fat. Oh my gosh. Like looking at old pictures of me just made me want to like cringe. So yeah, I just like, okay, so where I live, there's like a field literally like right next to my place. So I just went there every day, 6 days a week. I ran for an hour and 20 minutes every day. I would probably lose like 5 pounds per week, I'd say. But yeah, I started like July of 2020-ish. Yeah, July. And oh my gosh, this was like a huge phase. Like playing Minecraft every day, every night, going to the field just to run. And I even starved myself just to accomplish my goals. Like that shit is crazy thinking about it. But it was good, I'm not gonna lie. Even like the smallest things like music, TikTok, it was all so memorable, and I kind of miss it. I'm not gonna lie. Like 2020 was peak. I don't care what y'all say. But yeah, so I started to lose weight. I lost like 40 pounds, so I went from 220 to 180. And what's it called? I started to change. I'd say in terms of like not just physically, but also mentally. Like there were times where I'd notice like I show more care than I would before, because I was like low-key one of those nonchalant people before, and I just didn't give a single care about like the smallest things. But over time it just developed, and yeah, here I am. But yeah, and fast forward to like August, no, not August, September. She's telling me this one fact about her I can't say because, you know, I gotta respect secrets, right? So she told me the secret, right, that I keep to myself, and that gave a lot of trust. I know it, because After that, she just showed so much interest after, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely it. So that happens, right? And little do you know, in October, oh, I just wanted to say I also got braces, which in my opinion, is like one of the hottest things ever in like a person, because I don't know, something about it is just like super hot. That and glasses too. Well, TMI, my bad. But anyway, in October, we hung out at the mall, Glendale Galleria, as a matter of fact, one of the biggest malls in America, and we fell in love. As corny as it sounds, that is true. Like, I gained so much more feelings for her after that day, because we felt like a couple, but we didn't call ourselves a couple. And then, like, I think a week later after that, we just, yeah, I remember this night so vividly. I remember going to my old school to like take an ID picture during those COVID times, and it was like long as shit, and my mom got mad at me. And I was thinking about myself, oh my gosh, today was so shit. Then she texts me, she's like, hey, and like what? And she goes, actually, never mind. Ha ha ha. I'm like, no, tell me. You can't just leave me hanging like that. And so I'm like, what's going on? And then she starts acting so weird. And then she tells me like, oh, well, I like somebody, but you don't know him. And I'm like, oh really? Let's see if I know him. And then she starts changing it up. It's like, it's actually not someone else. So I'm like, what? Is this like a joke or something? Like, are you bored? Are you this bored? And she goes, fine, fine. I think I like you. Dot dot dot. And I'm like, is this really happening? Like that middle of the night. Like I think it was 12 o'clock at the it was past midnight. And I'm in my bed thinking like, is this really happening? Like it felt so unreal that I just like check if I was in reality for a second. So I'm like, do you really? And then at that moment I confessed my feelings for her too. I'm like, I like you too. Well, let's face it, she was the only girl I was talking to, so there's really no other option. And I asked her out to like, be my girlfriend. And then she says, yeah. I had like one of the best sleeps of my life ever that night. So that happened, and then the next morning we start to like, realize it's a real thing. So oh my gosh, a couple of things. Also, I swear I'm not this sorry at parkour. I'm just rusty. Okay, so leave me alone. But yeah, like it was definitely surreal at that time, because that was also my first relationship, and so it's like, a groundbreaking moment in my whole life, because my first relationship, really. Then we just like planned a whole hangout like 2 weeks later, and oh my gosh, the honeymoon phase is something I'll never forget about. Like the whole entire like honeymoon phase was just like everything you could ever ask for in a relationship. And unfortunately, it lasted only like 3 months, which typically happens, but yeah, it just blew by. Then we started having issues. Whoop-de-doo, who would have thought? And this is where I told my old friends about it. I'm like, yo, what do I do? And then, honestly, I was much of an overthinker. Like, looking back at it, I could not stop thinking about like the most negative things possible. And that low-key led to the downfall of our relationship, because she had to like kept putting up with like constantly keeping me in check, which I know she got tired of, and like me thinking like the worst, even though nothing really happened. I was just being so dramatic. And when that was happening, like I also thought of like, us never ending. But at that point she started to lose feels for me as a whole, and I'm like, wow, really? And I didn't find out until like later on. Like her friend tells me, oh yeah, she's losing feelings for you. I'm like, okay. Then the next day she confesses to me, and then we just break up just like that. And at that point I was like, damn, okay. And my friends were like low-key like against her, like ever since those problems started coming up like in January. And yeah, they just like started hating her. So keep that in mind. They just like never liked her like that. Well, they did at the beginning, but it just turned out to be toxic, so they just stopped liking her. And so next, like over the summer, just totally being single until like I text her. Yeah, I texted her because I saw like I was still on her spam account on Instagram, and then she was still sad about the whole breakup, even though it was like my fault. And we both confessed that we missed each other, so we started to become friends with benefits over the summer. And we started to like, do a couple things, but not really. Like we hung out and stuff, and we went out, and we just kept doing our thing, but not officially as like boyfriend and girlfriend type shit. So that was a thing, and my friends didn't know, which would ultimately lead to my downfall with them. Time goes by, I find out from my mom that I'm moving back with her out of LA to Covina, and that I'm going to school in Covina. So that happens, and she's all sad because she said, okay, this is crazy. She said we would have been official. Like, I was just waiting on her to like make a decision. Like, I was full on board with like, getting back together. But oh my gosh, dude, like it was up to her to like make a decision because she didn't feel as if it was ready, so I respect that. And so it was up to her to like whether we would become official again or not. It was up to her. Yeah, so it was up to her to like make a whole like decision. And then when she found out I was moving to school, she was so bummed out because she was like, oh yeah, well, I said I would have been official if you were still coming to this school. So yeah, we still remained friends, just friends with benefits. And I was like, settling into my new school. This is junior year, by the way. The whole entire relationship thing was sophomore year. Oh my gosh, yeah, sophomore year. Oh, I forgot to talk about that. Dang it. That was fiery. Man, sophomore year was like honestly peak because you had Among Us, Discord servers, and that's where honestly I met more friends online than like in person. Like all those group chats we've been through, like it led to me like socializing with people because I was low key shyer in person, so I couldn't make friends that way. And yeah, it's safe to say I kind of miss it, but at the same time, I'm okay with where I'm at right now, if I'm being honest. But anyway, on to junior year. I'm at a different school. She's still at the same school that I moved to freshman year. So we're living life per usual, same as summer. And oh my gosh, junior year was absurd. Junior year was like the time of development. Like, not only did I lose her, but I also lost myself in the process. Cause like it's from September to October, I think she met this new guy at school who was like a senior at the time, and they started to like like get to know each other and stuff because they haven't met until that moment. And I started to like overthink again. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are gonna become a thing. And she started to like deny it, but eventually it became true. So I can't say I was wrong about that, but oh well. And so I didn't think they'd become a thing, but one day in October, she was like, and this was like a week like before our like potential 1 year anniversary, like October 5th, 2021. Yeah, I remember the date. Don't think I'm weird, but I'm pretty good with dates, if I'm being honest about myself. But yeah, she just texted me one day. She's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I sort of like him. And I'm like, damn, okay. And this was like my part, but I basically cut it off with her. And then I tried talking to my old friends about it, but they were like, yeah, no, we know what happened, bro. And they were like, we told you to stop talking to her, which was my fault. I'll take the responsibility for that. And they're like, oh, you shouldn't have been talking to her. We told you, we warned you, you broke our trust. And so they just cut me off too. And I'm like, damn, really? And like I heard them talking shit about my back from like another source, and I'm like, yeah, we're officially done. So we like removed each other from our platforms, which was like low-key the hardest thing to do, but you just gotta do what you gotta do. And at that point, I just felt like so lonely because I had no one to turn to besides the feisty Filipinos. And yeah, okay, this is how I met them. I met JR first, if you know JR, he's a Riz. But I met JR and Zach and Kendall through camping in August. Oh my gosh, August. Oh yeah, that whole summer I had mom problems too. I apologize, this is like so disorganized, but this is how it is. And so like during the summer, me and my mom got into like this big argument where it led to like her taking away my phone for the whole entire summer. And I essentially got kicked out for like the whole argument. So I was living with my dad for like 3 weeks from July to August. Yeah. And we went camping like during those times. Like one time, one weekend, and I see this guy JR. I'm like, who are these people? I've never seen them in my life. And my first impression was like, he seemed like the nerdy type. I don't think I'd be friends with them because they were like all quiet and stuff. They didn't say hi to us or anything. So I was just like, yeah, that's whatever. Just another like occurrence. And I didn't think too much about it until we had this one game of dodge. No, not dodgeball, kickball. Like the whole entire camp, we just played kickball, and we were actually on opposite teams. I remember this, but oh my gosh, like I dominated that whole game. And they were like, how do you keep doing this? Like I kept catching all the kicks and I kept like kicking it far. And they were like, damn, how do you do that? And then we talked a little bit and then we like hung out for a bit after. And then we stopped talking again. But then the next day, I think, yeah, JR, I was just playing football with my dad, like playing catch with the football. And then JR comes out of nowhere and he was like, yo, throw it. And I throw it to him. And we started like, you know, connecting more, like just because I was playing catch. And so we started to like talk more, a bit more. And I met Zach and Kendall. Kendall was like low-key a loudmouth ever since like I met her. Like her first words to me, I remember this, like, dang, you're so tall, what the heck? And I mean, that's pretty much like almost everybody's first impression of me, like being a tall Filipino, like 6'2". It's really crazy, but yeah, it's true. So anyways, like we started talking more and we went to the pool for a bit. It was pretty chill, not much, but we actually did not get each other's contact information, which I was pretty upset about, I'm not gonna lie, because they seemed so cool. And oh my gosh, I remember this day so vividly. But on the third day, I remember like Zach breaking his arm, like while biking, or not his arm, his elbow, his right elbow, and he was in so much pain. And that like I thought something bad had happened. Well, something bad did happen, but I thought like something worse happened because my cousin Dylan, like he called my aunt out of nowhere and it sounded so serious, but I didn't hear it at the time. But then when we got there, it was like, bro was just lying on the ground. And so that happens and I couldn't talk to them for like about a month. Like we reconnected in September, thankfully, like with the whole entire hangout we had at their dad's place, because their dad had a whole party and stuff and we were invited and we went. Then we had a whole sleepover and that's where I met Jerson, Cheska, and Danica. Like I kid you not, these guys changed my life so much. I'm always grateful every day that I met them and that they're in my life, because I don't know where I'd be without them, to be honest. They're the ones I trust the most at this point. So it's like, yeah, I always appreciate them for every single moment we have. Like even though we don't hang out that much, it's always like great moments whenever we hang out. Like we all live so far away, so it's like kind of hard to connect, but every single time we do, it's always worth it. And so back to what I was saying with my whole ex and stuff, we kind of separated and I was at my lowest point and I was only talking to the feisty Filipinos and so I'm like, you know, what's next? What even comes next? And oh my gosh, 2021 was most definitely one of like the more memorable years. Arguably more memorable than 2020, if we're being realistic. Because there was like so many memorable moments during that time. Whether it was music or like, you know, shows like Squid Game. Dude, everything was just like so like engraved in my mind. Even the 2021 to 2022 NFL season was just so memorable. Because, you know, if you guys don't know, my favorite team is the Green Bay Packers, and that year was like so eventful. Started from week 1, we had like so many close games, but thankfully we closed out pretty much most of them. And yeah, I remember this one game against the Bengals where it was like both kickers were missing the kicks, so it went to like overtime, and they just kept missing and missing. And I was in Big Bear at the time, so it was like way more memorable than it should be. And we're just like, going back and forth with them. But then finally, our kicker on the Green Bay Packers make a kick, and we win, surprisingly, because I thought we were gonna lose like after the first few misses. But thankfully, we did. So that happened. It was just so memorable. Like I remember my dad like celebrating in the car because of it. Like we were driving on the way home, and yeah, that happened, and I never looked back until now. Like, wow. And then that one interception that turned Rasul Douglas into like a premier player for our team. If you know, you know. But yeah, that whole entire year was just like so memorable. And what else? Even the music, bro. Like my whole entire music taste like low-key switched up from like, because I listened to only rap like freshman and sophomore year for some reason. But then I started to like discover more. And yeah, I listen to like all genres, well, besides country. Well, we listen to country, let's be real. And I meet a few more people at school. I start to get close with some of them. Some of them are just like, acquaintances, I'd say. And oh my gosh, was it truly a treasure to meet the people I know today. Like, I met this one person in my math class. He was Filipino. I'm like, oh my god, he's Filipino. And then it just so happens that this guy was also like the president of the Filipino Unity Club, and that's where I met a few more people. So it's like, damn. And I also met his girlfriend, who's also like the secretary of the Filipino Unity Club. And from her, I met like a few other friends from my AP US History class. Then that sprung off to like the whole entire friend group, because I was like, hey, can I hang out with you guys during break? And they were like, sure. They were so welcoming. And I'm so glad that happened, because I met so many good people from that one day. And it's just like, wow, that wouldn't even happen if I didn't ask to hang out. So yeah, I started to like be chill with like a lot of people. And I met like one of my closest friends today. And I never thought we'd be so close from that one day, because like he's one of the first few people who also like met me at the group. So it's like, dang, that really happened. So yeah, I met them, and I just stuck with them for like basically the whole year, because I really had nowhere else to go to. So yeah, that happens, and it's like, dang, I'm settled in a bit, and I went to my first football game over there. I did go to a few football games before, but this time it was different because I didn't know anybody. So I went to their high school football game, and then it was a good experience. And then I got my phone back too, thankfully, after the whole entire scuffle with my mom. But yeah, the first few weeks were pretty cool. Like, oh man, the music, everything. Like, Need to Know by Doja Cat, Certified Lover Boy, fucking Donda by Kanye West. All those songs were just so memorable. And TikTok too. TikTok was like low-key at its peak during that time, because you had trends like, yo bro, who got you smiling that, like, you know that song. And sometimes I'll, dude, those were all so graciously, man. If you know, you know. Like, man, they were truly trending at the time. Yeah, well, those were like things to look back on. And I started listening to Tyler the Creator for like the first time in my life. Like, I never thought of myself like listening to Tyler ever, but then I started to like, listen to Goblin and all the rest of his albums. It was my favorite, the whole entire like atmosphere of it, and a few of the songs bring me back to those times. So it's like, yeah, it's my favorite. Argue with a Wall. It's my favorite, it's my opinion. So anyway, enough about music. We go on to, I think, Christmas. Yeah, Christmas or Thanksgiving, I don't know. But y'all know FNAF, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, that game? Man, oh man. Oh yeah, and fucking Poppy's Playtime too. That shit. Those were like, even those things were like so memorable. It's like, dang. Those low-key made at those times like more better than I ever thought. Like watching the gameplay and stuff, it was just like so great. So yeah, moving on, it's like Christmas, and What happened? Oh, I went to a few Christmas parties. I remember that. So I went to like a few Christmas parties too at the time, and I also went to this one mall called Irvine Spectrum. I don't know if you guys know it. If you're in SoCal, you obviously know it, but I went there once and it was pretty memorable because I met one of my friends there who I haven't seen in a long time, so it was pretty cool to like catch up with him. So yeah, like what can I say? 2021 is like one of the times ever. And moving on to 2022, it started off alright, I guess. Nothing much. Oh yeah, I did develop this like new crush for someone in my chemistry class. Like it's pretty much the same thing. Like except we didn't get together. Like I don't see us getting together. But this one girl in my chem class, like we started talking because we sat next to each other, and we started to see that a bit more closer. Like I got her number like in February, then we started talking, and I developed more feelings because obviously I got attached too fast. And yeah, but she never saw me that way because I basically got rejected like on Valentine's Day because my friend was like, "Oh my god, would you be Josh's Valentine?" And then she looked at me and she obviously like said no with no hesitation. So I'm like, damn, another L. But yeah, it's whatever. So yeah, that was the thing, and then like I didn't have any more crushes. Well, oh no, I'm wrong. I did have another crush like in my ceramics class. Her like I don't know, I don't even know how I got a crush for her, but it just developed. So I was in ceramics, and then one day this like freshman dude from like another table, because I sat like in the back of the class for ceramics. Then this one like freshman dude like, he's like, "Yo, come over." And I was like, "Sure." And then I started sitting with them, and then like I started talking to their group, and it was pretty cool. Like I met like two guys, and this one girl, like she had the most like kind of bitchy attitude, but towards me, thankfully she didn't have that, and we started to like get to know each other a bit from the top. And I was like, man, you know, I would low-key dare if I was able to. We started to I don't know how, but she found my Instagram and then she followed me. Then like I started to like text her and stuff about like days she'd miss class, and it was pretty funny because like she'd always like get a laugh out of it too. It's like, yeah, I got to like connect with her as well. So yeah, but enough about that. We just gotta finish it up. I also met these few people from JR's like old friend group. It was all Filipinos, fucking Swagapinos or some shit. But I met a few of them. I don't know if you know them, but they're part of the Blind Talk podcast, which is dead as fuck, to say the least. And they were pretty cool, but I don't know how we just started to like fall off for a bit. Then it just died out. Like we never talked to each other again. Well, they talk to each other still, I'm pretty sure, but with me and a few other people, we just like, yeah, that sucks. But what can you do? Anyway, so with all that, I was like, yeah, friend groups are, you know, it's either they last or they don't last. Like, what can you do about friend groups? So anyway, as the whole entire school year like approaches to an end, me and that one girl from the ceramics class started talking a bit more, and then I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, and then I got this job too. Yeah, I got this job from the freaking pizza place. Well, not pizza, like Italian place, and it was pretty mid at first, but then I got accustomed to it. But then as like, you know, people started to leave, I was like left with more responsibilities. So I was like, yeah, fuck that, I'm leaving. So I left that job. And then summer hit. Summer was finally here, and I was still talking to that girl. I had more connections, and it was just like, you know, a pretty vibey summer, if I'd say so. Cause you got the NBA playoffs going. Oh yeah, the freaking Lakers sucked that year. Man, it was so bad to watch them. But yeah, that was happening, and oh man, this is when I started to hit the gym a lot more. Cause I had this gym membership from like November 2021, and I would go. Yeah, I would go, but I wouldn't know what to do, so I just like hit full body for whatever odd reason. I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking doing that shit? So I was doing that with no clue of how bad it was. So I stopped going because like I didn't see that much like gains. Like I don't know why. Like here's a tip: don't expect too much from like the first like few months. Well, I would, but you obviously won't become ripped like the first few moments. Like, you just gotta let it like settle in and then trust the process. Because if you don't, it's not gonna be good. And then I just stopped going after like the first few weeks because I was like, nah, I'm too lazy. So I stopped. But then like I think beginning of February I started to go again because I was like getting more motivation. Oh yeah, a whole side note. Literally the only reason, also another reason why I also like started to lose weight a lot was because I drank a can of Bang Energy, and I felt like this whole entire like rush going in my body. I was like, oh, I gotta let this get out. So I went to the field because that was like literally my first time too at the field. So I was like, what the fuck? And it became like, a casual thing. So I started to go every day. So yeah, I every day I think about that one can of Bang that I drank. And so yeah, like the whole entire summer of 2022, I started to go to the gym, and I saw a lot more improvement because I stopped doing full body. I don't even know why I did full body, but yeah, it was a lot more better to be honest because I did a lot more focused workouts, and that led to obviously more improvement. So I started to see a lot more, and I'm like, oh man, I love the gym. So, and it's crazy because I never thought of myself as like a type to go to the gym, but then that happened. And also, another quick side note, I know this is crazy, but part of the reason why I started going to the gym was because I saw this TikTok, and it was pretty motivating. It was like, a whole like glow up and stuff. So I was like, damn, I need to do that too. So yeah, fun fact, but that's what caused me to go. And then, yeah, the whole summer I was just focused on that. I also got into like basketball a lot more, mostly because of 2K. Like, think about it. Well, no, it's not me. It's my brother. Like, it sprung off from one event to another. Like, I was at this Christmas party with my dad and my brother. Then the owner of the house asked us like if we wanted to play Xbox. At first, I was gonna say no because I was like, nah, it's okay. But then I said yeah, like as an impulsive thought. And so I see they had 2K. I'm like, let's play 2K. I never really played 2K before. And I play, and then what do you know? I'm addicted to it. So like I try to get the game for myself because I never had it before. And what do you know? I asked my brother if he wanted to play. He was like, sure. And then I taught him how to play. It was pretty easy from the get-go. Then he beat me somehow for the first time. Well, that's because I was using a shittier team, but that's beside the point. So he beat me. He's like, yo, this is pretty fun, I'm not gonna lie. Then he starts to get into basketball, like himself. Like, I never thought he would. And I'm like proud of him because he usually hated playing basketball against me, or like even watching basketball. But then from that moment, he started to like get into more basketball. So it's a good thing that I played 2K at that one party. So yeah, prime example of the butterfly effect for you guys. The whole summer was just full of basketball in the gym. And so one day or one week, my mom decided to like go to Vegas for like a whole week. And this is crazy because like I also, oh my gosh, I forgot this too. But I also got guinea pigs like in September of 2021, and they're like the best pets ever. I don't care. And so we had to bring them with us to our Vegas trip, like 2 guinea pigs in a fucking box. So we had to deal with that, and then it's crazy. One of them escaped too, like while we were gone, and we were looking for like 5 minutes, and we see that bro's behind a freaking bed. So we had to pull out the bed, and then we got him from behind the bed, and from there on out we just put them in the bathtub for like the rest of the time being. So yeah, we were at Vegas, and then this is crazy because like literally like a day after our Vegas trip, our mom like was sick. And mind you, this is like when COVID starts to like pop up again, like after the whole mask mandate fell off. Shit, did she really have COVID? And he takes a test. He's like, I don't have COVID. Because it was like a slight positive test. But then, little do you know, it turns out to be true. So it's like, damn. And yeah, we started to test ourselves too. And what do you know? We all have COVID. The whole entire week we were just like, like just chilling in the house and stuff, like isolating from the outside. And this is like the whole week where I just decided to hop on Fall Guys for the first time. And man, oh man, was it truly an experience. Because having to only play Fall Guys for like a week was like, it sounds like torture, but it was honestly pretty fun. Because the whole entire week, me and my brother, we were just trying to get a single win, and we couldn't get a win. Like, I think I didn't even get a win until like after that whole COVID like blew by. So we were just playing nonstop, just trying to get a win because it was hard. It's like it was basically Fortnite, but parkour version. So that happened for a whole week, and then our birthdays happened. Like we had to deal with like celebrating COVID celebrations. So yeah, and then we also recovered like a week later. Well, not a week later, like 5 days, I'd say. And so the whole summer buzzed by, and we're in senior year, and it's like, oh man, school's back. Fuck. And then quite literally before school started, my homie like introduced me to his friend group. It was pretty cool. I fuck with like all of them. And yeah, senior year started, and it's like, damn, it's our last year. So I'm just like reflecting on like the past 3 years and how it'll be different this year. Oh yeah, not to mention like they fucked up our ID picture so bad for like the whole entire school. It wasn't just me, it was like the whole entire school. So like I don't know what they did, they just upped up the brightness of some shit, and like they just made it so bad where I couldn't even look at it anymore. I can't even look at it right now, dude. Like looking back at it, it's like, why the fuck is the lighting so bright? Like it looks like my face is so oily and like my hair is so like damp. It's like, what the fuck? How do you not do your job correctly as like a photographer? I don't know, but like I hated seeing that shit like for like the rest of the year. So yeah. And I'm gonna be honest, it was so underwhelming. Like not to hate on like senior year, but man, it's just it was not like meeting the expectations of like the previous years. Nothing much really happened besides me working and like, you know, me talking to like, new people, but yeah, nothing memorable really happened. Like no relationship stuff. It was all so boring. Then yeah, I quit my job like a month later because it was so bad. And then I had this like early schedule where I'd go to school like at 7 o'clock in the morning, which would make me leave at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was like a win-win, to be honest. And I also started to learn how to drive, and I'm not gonna lie, that was like one of the best things I could have ever done because I had to walk to and from school like 30 minutes every day, which was a pain in the ass. I decided, yeah, I gotta start driving, bruh. So I started to learn it. I got my permit like over the summer. Then I started to like practice with my mom. And man, dude, my mom is so harsh. I feel so sorry for my brother because he has to deal with her while driving. So yeah, I started to learn how to drive. It's tense like the first few moments, but you get used to it. It's like nothing much. So yeah, I had to like learn how to drive for school, and dude, the first ever time I drove to music was like one of the experiences ever because it felt like I was like transcending into a whole nother dimension when that happens. Because driving with like a whole like song in the background is just, you know, astonishing. All I can say, very astonishing. And we had this whole phase of playing Minecraft for like a week in November. And it was fun because like we got to like play Minecraft and stuff. And man, my friends were like sweats. Like they had like whole farms and stuff and like other shit going on. We low-key speed ran. Like we beat the dragon within a week. So that was also one of the things that happened. And then December hit, nothing much really happened besides Christmas, which was kind of boring, I'm not gonna lie. And then the next year hit, 2023. My brother got in the basketball team and I got my license. So thankfully that happened. And all of a sudden my dad's like, let's go to Cancun. So we went to Cancun for like a week in January, which meant that I had to miss a lot of school, like that whole entire time. And the semester just started too, so it's like it's taking a toll on my grade. So I finished all of that. We went to Cancun. It's pretty cool though, I'm not gonna lie, it was worth it. Like this is my first time going on an airplane for like the first time in I'd say 15 years because I went when I was 2 years old to the Philippines. Alright guys, so I don't know what happened to the last recording, but it just cut off like 5 minutes after I ended it, or before I ended it, so I'm gonna have to continue off of my memory. So back to what I was saying, like last time I went on the plane was like for the Philippines, which was 2007 I'd say, or 2008. I think it was summer of 2008, I could be wrong, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so we went to Cancun for like a cool week. I missed out on a lot of like school stuff, which wasn't really that big of a deal, more than I expected it to be. So that's cool. And so I returned back. Nothing much has changed, and it's like, dang, 1 month already passed after 2023 just started. It's crazy. So literally the next month, my mom was like, "Oh, let's go to San Francisco." So we go to San Francisco. Then we stay there for like I think 5 days, and it was crazy because like I had to miss more school because of that trip. So that also like added on to it, and I was like, "Damn, is this really happening?" Like I'm like a truant student at this point, so it's like, what the fuck? But yeah, San Francisco was like cool and all, I guess. Like it was pretty refreshing to see all that shit go down. And dude, oh my god, okay, this is like pretty delusional. I know, as crazy as it sounds, but like there was this one girl I came across like at the piers, I think, and then dude, bro, literally like she ran into me. Like I don't know if it was on purpose or an accident. I don't know. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then dude, bro, she was fine, mighty fine. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. But the reason why I didn't do anything was because like her family was there and I was with my family too. So I was like, yeah, I can't really do anything. I'm sorry. Maybe in another life, but you know, yeah. So and so yeah, we stay there until like the week passes by, and then I go back to school pretty much. Oh, and then we had this club thing for our Filipino Unity Club. Like it's called Kapabayan Games. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it. Kind of whitewash, I'm not gonna lie, but we do that, and the girl was there too, and we actually talked like the first time. Like that was our first ever like in real life interaction. I don't know how I gain feels for somebody like online, but crazy where we live in nowadays. Yeah. And so that goes by. I didn't really meet anybody. It was more so like just hanging out with like people I already knew. So it's like, whatever. And we got Bo Bath and stuff, you know, the usual Asian stuff. Then that goes by, and it's like already March. March was pretty mid. Nothing much special happened. It was boring. Basically just a filler month at that point, so I was like, yeah, fuck it. And then fucking April goes by, and it's spring break. About damn time. So I meet up with Jerson and Cheska and them at their house. I sleep over for like a few days, and man, oh man, it was the best thing to ever happened in a while. Like things we did, like all the small stuff we did was just like so cool to do. Especially since like we haven't seen each other in, like forever at that point. So it was like, yeah, it was cool to do all of that. Like we did stuff like bake cookies, and play basketball, and even go to like Cheska's track meet, which was pretty cool. So yeah, that happened. But then like literally like the 3 days, I think it was 3 days. Yeah, 3 days passed by already. I had to go home, and I was like, damn. It was sad too because their baby sister Callie was like crying when I was leaving. She's like, Josh, no, don't leave, Josh. I was like, damn, this hurts because like we were building houses and stuff, and she was like playing ice cream with me. So it was like, you know, pretty fun. And dude, oh my gosh, that was like, that was like the most like up and down week ever because so yeah, like late April. But I'll get into that later. So anyways, like April passes by. It's like nothing much after that. Then I finally get my car, and at first it didn't seem like nothing was wrong with it because I didn't know that much about cars back then. But then quite literally when I got it, it started to like bug out so much. I was like, how the fuck is it when I get it, it starts acting up? Like I was like, bro, what are the odds of that? And so it's like when I went to the dentist, like literally like the first drive, I didn't think too much about it, and then like literally when I finished my appointment, I went to the car, I tried turning it on. Guess what? It wouldn't turn on. So I'm like panicking. I'm like, oh, what the fuck would I do? What do I do? Because like that car like relies heavily on power. Because like you can't doors without the power. You can't even like move the chairs without power. It's like so. So I asked my sister to pick me up, and then I was like, oh shit, I need to like bring the jumpers and shit. So I do that, wait for like 2 hours, and it's like late at night. And we go back to the dentist. The car is there by itself. We tried doing it, but it didn't work. So our last resort was like calling AAA. Man, we called AAA. They came over. Thankfully, they were able to help us. Like the guy was nice, and then he helped me like get my car back up. So I had to like bring it back to the parking spot, and then I would not drive it after that until I went to AutoZone to like recharge the battery for free because they do it for free if you guys know, which is pretty cool. So yeah, fun fact right there. And they're like, oh yeah, it's good to go. You can use it after. And then literally I tried it, and guess what? The second day of school, I got it, and when I tried going back home, it didn't fucking work. And I'm like, what the fuck? How is it not working? Like, I got the battery recharge and stuff, and I was like, what else could it be? And then I realized like the battery's like completely like drained. Like it's like past its limit. So I'm like, damn, I gotta like replace it. Because it was still under warranty, so I was like, yeah, I guess I'll get it like replaced. So I went to Walmart. Like I took it over to Walmart with the battery. I took out the battery in the school's parking lot, which is pretty funny because like my friend saw me. I was like, oh yeah, I'm like replacing my car battery. And so I go to Walmart. It's like a free replacement, thankfully, and I got it. And I went back to school. Then I put it back in. It took like a while for it to turn on, but eventually it did. So I'm thankful it did. And I took it back home. I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not even gonna like bring it anymore. I'm just gonna keep doing this. So I just leave it there in like the parking lot for like a long ass time. And now I'm like waiting for it to be repaired by like these like mechanic people because like they said like the things were like they said like there's a lot of things wrong with it, like the alternators and like the fucking the seals and shit. So I'm like, okay. And then I leave it in Anaheim. Now I'm just like pending on the repairs. So yeah. And so yeah, I'm just waiting for that. And now we move on to May. May is like, you know, graduation month. And then I did all my finals. Thankfully, I passed all of them. Besides, I don't know about AP Stats. Dude, oh man, AP Stats is like one of the worst classes I've ever taken by far. Like, I kid you not. Like, every time I walk into class, I'm like, oh my god, just like, get the fuck out of here already. Because like, the whole atmosphere of it was like ass. Like, pretty ass. Cause like the people in there were like talkative as fuck and wouldn't stop talking. So I'm like, chill. It's like 7 o'clock in the fucking morning, you know what I mean? So I tried to like fight through it. It's like whatever, and I had to deal with like a whole ass year of that. So it's like, man, I'm glad I survived through that shit. But yeah, AP Stats is like easy, but my teacher was a dick. That's all I'm gonna say. He was a big asshole. So yeah. So I had to deal with like a shitty ass class atmosphere. I only had like 2 friends in there, or 3. Yeah, 3 friends, like realistically speaking. So, and it was like 33 students in there, so it was like a lot of people. And yeah, I did that. I took an AP exam. It was ass too. Like I didn't have enough time for like, one of my questions, so I couldn't do it for the free response. So I was like, fuck. And yeah, that was by. I took my for accounting and finance. We took Monopoly final, which was like playing Monopoly and then like recording the transactions and shit. It was pretty cool. Like I never really played Monopoly until that moment, so it was like a great experience. And I got that over with, and then with second period English, oh man, English, I had like a whole ass speech to give, like a slides presentation, which had to be like 4 to 6 minutes. And unfortunately, I didn't make it to like the 4 to 6 minute mark. So I got like like a B or some shit on my final. But it was cool because like my grade was still an A at the end of the day, so I was like, I'll live with it. And then like for physics, okay, this is crazy because like for physics, I literally didn't know we didn't have to take the final if we had an A in the class. So I barely got an A from like one assignment because like I missed like a few assignments when I was like gone during like the vacations. So my teacher was like, oh yeah, you want to take the final. But bro doesn't know that like I studied for like the whole entire night, like the night before the final. So I was like, what the fuck? How are you not gonna tell me that and be like, oh yeah, you don't take the final? I mean, I'm grateful I don't take it, but like it's damn no fucking heads up or anything. That's kind of messed. So yeah, it's like it's cool. I get to like chill the whole period, and I'm like one of the few students who had an A who did not take the test. So I was like, it's fucking good. And man, oh man, my class was like brain dead as fuck about me. Like, there were so many like juniors in there, and like they just kept like fucking around and shit. And the teacher like tried to stop them so many times, but it just couldn't do anything. Like I remember this one time where the teacher was like, "Oh, did you spray some like chemical shit?" Because like it was for their chemistry class, and they're like, "Nah, we didn't spray shit." Even though I saw them do it, but I was like, I don't say anything because like I don't want to get involved in all that bullshit. So the teacher like confronted them, like, "Come on, tell me who it is," like, because like I gotta like fill out a form or some shit, and they just kept like denying it over and over again, and then like eventually like he finds out who was from like the what's it called, from the direction and shit. So they got in trouble for that shit. I was like, damn, that's a fucking big asshole. But yeah, that class was like kind of stupid. Like they probably had like a combined GPA of like 3.9, and I'm like carrying all entire class from that shit. So yeah, the physics was over with, and I had economics on like the last day of like school for us seniors, so I had to do that. And it was just like a whole like accumulative like final and stuff, like all the stuff we learned. So we did that. I got like a B, but my grade was like great in the class from like extra credit and shit, so I didn't have to like worry too much about it. So I got that over, and man, now it's time for graduation. Like holy shit, I never thought of it, but from freshman year to senior year, we're fucking graduating. That's crazy. And so like the whole entire week we were like practicing our graduation rehearsals and shit from like the gym to like the football field. Bro, I kid you not, I sat next to this one girl like from like our last names, like designated last names, and I am not gonna lie, she's like the biggest shit talker I've met, like probably like the past 2 years or some shit. Mostly because like she kept talking shit about like people's weight. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like she would talk shit about someone who's not even that fat, and I was like, bro, they're not even that fat. If they're fat, what am I? Because like I'm realistically like probably bigger than them. But she's like cool with me. We were pretty cool. She was like one of those like hot Cheeto girls, so it's like whatever. And so I had to deal with like her BS for like the next 3 days, and then graduation day came. It felt so surreal because like I never thought I'd be in that moment. But there I was like walking the stage and shit, so I was like, fuck, this is really happening. So we get it over with, we just walk across the stage and shit. And I take like a shit ton of pictures with like people I knew from like school, so we do that. And it was kind of sad because like this one guy I knew from my Filipino club, he's like a junior. He was crying his ass out like the whole entire like ceremony. And I felt so bad because we were leaving him like, because he knew like a lot of seniors from like the school, so it was like sad to see us go. And then yeah, it was like kind of heartbreaking. I didn't cry for some reason. I don't know how. I felt like I was gonna cry. It was crazy because like I cried during my elementary like culmination, but not during my fucking high school graduation. So I was like, what the fuck? And then we graduate, we get that day over with. I got like a shit ton of money, and I'm like, this is really happening. This just happened. And then me and my dad had like this like long ass like conversation about life and how time passes by so fast. And it really hit me out how like it does move fast, because I swear I was just a freshman in high school and now it's like I'm done with high school. So it's like pretty deep when you think about it. And then yeah, we just finish the day. I go to sleep, and yeah, that's high school. Pretty crazy, but yeah, we did it. I did it. Leave your class 2023, we did it. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. High school, I would honestly rate it a 7 out of yeah, a 7 out of 10. That's like an accurate grade I give it. It had its moments, but there were some like dull moments and shit, so it's whatever. But yeah, I would say sophomore and junior year were like the most memorable years in my opinion. And I low-key wish I could like do whatever it takes just to experience it again, honestly. Yeah, that about concludes it. So if you want to see another podcast, just let us know. Peace.